Hello, welcome to Mugello for the Sunday League Virtual Season 2, Round 6 Italian Grand Prix. Racing at Mugello, as opposed to any other Italian track, it was a tightly contested competition, but this is the one that made it on to the calendar. Lots of sweeping corners that the AI are notably bad at. Lots of gravel around, so lots of opportunity to lose lap time. On top of all of that, we have a lot of rain. It's a wet qualifying session out here today, so it's interesting to see how the drivers will manage the conditions. In terms of the upgrades this week, for the first time ever in Sunday League Virtual, to my knowledge, only upgrades for one statistic have succeeded, and that is turbo. VLO get a double turbo upgrade succeeded, as do THX and KRT, and SFR and SPM both get single turbos. That's sensible of them. FVR, WTEC, and BAR fail double turbo upgrades. They first failed rushed upgrades of the season. And now what this means is that they don't get an upgrade this week, nor will they get one for Istanbul. The three teams failing it also mean that next week, even if no other team chooses turbo, I don't know why they would, those three carry over and still equate to a -2 from Mugello, from Istanbul going into Brest. So, not good for those who enjoy turbo. If you want to upgrade your car with some turbo this season, you probably should have gotten it out of the way already. Talking of getting out of the way, qualifying is nearly done here. In Mugello, the track is nearly dry. We'll see who got pole. Rito takes pole position here in Mugello. Hernandi 0.13 seconds behind him. He'll be starting alongside him on the front row. Gironi starts in third place for FVR. Pit crew in fourth for Thunder X. Sobel starting in the top 5 for Phoenix Motorsports. Vlado 1 starting 6th for Superfast Racing. Bluebell Boy starting 7th for BBB Force X. Then G4 starting in 8th. Kubo in 9th, and Jake Brad rounding out the top 10. Antti and Ikoloski is your 6th row of the grid, with Andres and Eurus right behind them. Goose, then Levioso, Vlado 204, Spuda, Grandi and Hetmenica once again qualifying on the final row of the grid in terms of token usage. Real surprises here in qualifying session, you'll see, because Sobel is using 0 tokens in a PMP car and starting 5th. So that probably has something to do with the wet quali. Quali isn't the be-all end-all in this game, of course. We know that we've had numerous winners from 8th on the grid so far this season. G4 unlikely to fulfill that prophecy once more, but who knows, honestly. So yeah, we've got in order Rito using 2 tokens, Nandi using 3, Giruni using 2 tokens, Pit Crew using 2 tokens, Sobel using none. Vlad 01 uses 1 token, Bluebell Boy uses 0 tokens, G4 uses 2 tokens, Kubo uses 2 tokens, Jake Brad uses 1. And then, of course, down the order outside the top 10, we've still got a fair few token users. We've actually got Antti not using any, but Ikoloski using 2 today. Andres using none, Eurus using none, Goose using none, Levioso using none, Vlad 02 using none, Spuda using none, Grandi using none, and Hetmenica using none as well. So Ikoloski, the upset there, down in 12th, Sobel up in 5th, spending none. So in order of highest to lowest, we've got Hernandi, our only 3 token spender today. Looks to be a good place to have spent those tokens. 2 token spenders are Kubo, we'll roll back up to the top part of the grid. Kubo starting in 9th place, spending 2 tokens. Outside chance of the win, it's not a bad car. That Team Losty car with that double turbo upgrade, as mentioned in the qualifying session. Giruni using 2 tokens, starting in 3rd. Pit Crew using 2 tokens, starting in 4th. Ikoloski using 2 tokens down in 12th, as discussed. G4 using 2 tokens starting in 8th, and Rito using 2 tokens starting from pole position. Let's get underway here for the Italian Grand Prix of Sunday League Virtual Season 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights on the grid. We're underway here in Mugello. Rito leads them away from pole. He's on the hard. Hernandi on the mediums to the inside. Takes the lead going into turn 1. Rito down into second. Pit crew looking to challenge. Rito to the outside of the chicane. Squeezed out on the exit there. Still fighting Hernandi for that though. He just has to tuck back inside. He goes a little bit wide on the exit. Uses a bit of boost. Gets all squirrely on the exit. Side by side into the chicane they go. Rito dives it down. He can't find the grip. Jaruni in this battle now. He has a look to the inside. He might get through on Rito. Rito gets a better exit with the outside line. Pit crew in the battle. Four-way fight for the lead here on the opening lap in Mugello. Pit crew and Jaruni making their way through now. Jaruni goes for the lead of the race and takes it down the inside. Hernandi uses a bit of boost though and gets himself back into position. What fantastic battling we're already getting here in Mugello. Pit crew meanwhile up into second. Can he make that first? He rams into the back of Hernandi, gets the inside line going into the chicane but massively screws out the exit. Down in 5th place. He's hugely made an error there. And Hernandi leads, then Jaruni, Rito, Pit crew already back up into 4th, overtakes Vlado 1. Jaruni and Rito looking to flank Hernandi. They go down both sides. Jaruni to the inside, Rito to the outside. Rito battles Hernandi still going into turn 2 and does pull ahead. Hernandi down into 3rd under pressure from Pit crew now. Hernandi using a bit of boost to try and pull away. It hasn't really worked. Pit crew gets a really good exit there. He's right on the tail of Hernandi. Takes the inside going into the chicane. Hopefully he doesn't mess it up. This time he does it again. He's done it again. Oh dear, Uris does it as well. He's fighting his teammate Kubo down in 8th and 9th places. Shocking form for the both of them. 7th and 8th rather. Rito now behind Hernandi. Pulls himself back up into 2nd place. Jaruni looks to run away with it. FVR, his team, have been... I've been intensely unlucky with upgrades so far this season. Just one managed in the first 6 races. It will be one of the first 7 because due to failing a rushed upgrade for Mugello, their personnel also will not be able to get an upgrade done in time for Istanbul, even though it is after a mid-season break, so that doesn't canonically make much sense, but whatever. Rito down the inside. Oh my god, the overtakes into that corner look spectacular, don't they? He takes back 2nd place from Hernandi, our only 3 token user of the day. We've got this front 4 really looking early on like the fight for the lead here. Rito looks to the outside, nothing doing there, has to just retreat on the inside. Pit crew once again goes into the gravel trap there. I don't think that was his fault that time. I think he just got a helping hand from Hernandi. Rito dives to the inside of the final corner, nothing doing. Can he get a better exit? It does look like he's got a better exit. He goes to the outside coming into turn 1. Can he make the apex? No, he runs wide, but still leaves the room on the inside, gets through cleanly. Hernandi meanwhile puts pressure on Jaruni here. Hernandi in 3rd place. So yeah, as I was saying, it really looks like this will be the 4-way battle for the win here, but with Pit crew dropping back, he's behind Kubo now. Could be 5-way or indeed 3-way as it's looking like with our front 3. Of course, Rito leading the way. He's on hards, Jaruni and Hernandi on mediums, Kubo and Pit crew on softs. G4 in 6th place, looking to take home some real points. They've not scored points. Sorry, they've only scored 2 points in every race but Azerbaijan, where they took a 1-2 finish. Vlado 1 running respectively in 7th. Uris, Ikoloski, Anti-Bluebell battling here. Ikoloski to the inside, can't manage an overtake, gets squeezed into the apex there. Anti runs wide, lets Bluebell and Sobel through. Anti down into 12th place. Grandi running by himself in 13th. Levioso and Jake 14th and 15th here. Jake to the outside coming through the sweeping corners. Really good overtake there. Does get through on Lev. Goose in 16th. Spuda, Vlado 2, Menica and Andres is the rest of your field. Rito still leading the way. Jaruni right behind him. Hernandi, Kubo, G4 and Vlad. Closest battles at the moment. Uris closing on Ikoloski rather, makes a huge mistake and rejoins through the gravel, loses position to Bluebell, a lot of time to EK, does get through though, and bless me. He's down into 8th place though, so he does get the re-overtake, and he's just really struggling on those old softs. You do not want to be on old tyres here. Look, he's having a horrible in-lap. If this is indeed when he's going to pit, we've got some cars into the lane already. Kubo and G4, Jaruni having just come in, and none of the front 3 having pitted. Jaruni looking to trigger an undercut on Hernandi, potentially. Rito will be running longer on those hards, but Hernandi struggling on the old mediums. He's having the sensibility to try and keep it in the middle of the track and not kick those rear tyres into too much gravel. He slams into that wall on the entrance to the pit lane. Vlado 1 breezes through. Jaruni on the hards as well. Hernandi goes for the softs. Can Jaruni pull the undercut on Hernandi here? Yes, he does. He keeps that 2nd place. Or I'm not sure what order they were when Girouni went in, but I'm pretty sure it was Girouni ahead. Regardless, he is now in second place. Funny division in the field, only a few runners only one runner on the soft, being Hernandi. And then we've got 11th down to 15th, all running the medium, Spuder in last as well. And those higher up and lower down, all running the hard, as you can see on the left of your screen. Vlado1 dives literally out of the way into the pit lane. Girouni plays a good strategic game here because he knows on these hards that all he needs to do is hold Hernandi up. He's failed to do so. But still, he might not have the outright pace against Hernandi, with Hernandi using the extra token, which has obviously proved so crucial so many times in the past. But he can, pardon me, he can just try and slow Hernandi's progress a little bit to lessen the advantage Hernandi will get on this soft stint, because any life that he can take out of Hernandi's tyres, any time of his he can waste, at the end of the day, all the cars are the same size, and Girouni is very much entitled to plant his car on the track ahead of Hernandi's, but he has lost Hernandi now. He's about 2 seconds back from it, but he's still looking good high up the field. Ikolowski running in fourth, yet to make his first stop. He's the only driver with Rito to have not stopped so far. It looks like Rito is in. He takes another set of the hards. He's running a conservative tyre race today. Oh, there's a tank slapper to Girouni on the exit of the pit lane. Just tries to cut him off as he re-enters. Rito notoriously not really the cleanest driver in any competition, but he does get results, so you have to credit him for that. He's going to be looking to chase down Girouni on his multiple lap, fresher, hard compound tyres. Hernandi, though, running away into the lead of the race. Ikolowski really struggling now. Pit crew looks to the inside. Very clean overtake. Very good job by pit crew. Ikolowski battles it back, though, and he does have the inside before he counter steers into the wall to go into the pit lane. Pit crew through for fourth place. Vlado1 through as well. Then we've got Ikolowski, Kubo and G4, 2 token users today, scrapping it out over 6th and 7th at the moment. Fantastic fight here. Pretty similar life of tyre. G4 makes a mistake. Kubo can get the better exit here. He sweeps through the sweeping corners and does take 6th place off him. Really, really nice overtake. Rito still behind Girouni. Really interesting that I think they're just starting to have lapped cars in the way. Crucially, Gay Mongoose, who will be, fighting tooth and nail to help out Girouni here, being his teammate, and he is allowed to do so because this is your racy reminder. Lapped cars have no obligation to get out of the way, shouldn't they want to. Obviously, it's probably advisable that they do because that saves them time, energy, and effort, and tyre life, etc., etc., etc. But do whatever you want. The W-Techs being lapped here. They're running 18th and 19th. Gay Mongoose in 20th place, right behind them. Rito still losing time, if anything, to Girouni, despite having much fresher tyres. He's not able currently to make an advantage of that tyre performance, but I think towards the end of the stint he'll certainly make advantage of the tyre life. He's still not fully closed up to Girouni, but now he's got a bit of a clean air. He's closed the gap by a second or so, maybe over a second in the last half lap. He pulls up to Girouni with a fantastic exit from the pit lane. Can he go for a move? No, he's too far back going into turn 1. Takes a nice wide line through turn 2, turn 3, closes up into the chicanes of turn 4 and turn 5, 6 and 7 coming up now. The sweeping corners. 8, can he go to the outside? He does, and he uses a bit of boost and pulls his way through that corner. Will make a mistake here, he just gets a really bad exit, doesn't run off the track, which is the key, so he does just about manage to stay ahead of Girouni. The gravel traps are so unforgiving at this track. Hernandi into the pit lane, pitting from the lead off those softs onto some hards, which seem to be the preferred tyre of the front runners today. Hernandi pits, comes out ahead of pit crew, which pretty much solidifies the death of any chances he might have had of a race win today. But nevertheless, still looking good. Vlado1, surprisingly, in an SFR car which is not, notoriously strong, is running very nicely in 5th place. Ikolowski behind on fresher tyres. G4 behind on older ones. Kubo probably the only person really looking to challenge Vlad in terms of the strategy front, but he's still got a good few laps left on those hards, so he's still looking really good at the moment. Top 3 pretty spaced out, about 3 seconds between each of them. Any battles going on further down, Bluebell and Anti 9th and 10th, the final points paying positions. Bluebell gets a good exit through that wide open hairpin. They sweep through the final corner. Can Bluebell get a better exit? Of course he can. Anti just leaves the door open on the inside. He moved back towards the racing line. That doesn't look to have been the right move. Bluebell cruises through, but Anti is on pretty old tyres, so that was never really a straight fight for position. That was always going to be a bit of a tricky one. Kubo and G4, here's your battle. 2 positions higher, 7th and 8th. Kubo still on pretty good conditions. Softs, G4 on pretty old hards. This should be a straightforward overtake for the Team Velocity driver in his debut season in the sport, but he's already impressed many with his performances so far. Let's see what he could do here as they wind through the sweepers up into the chicanes at the top. G4 will struggle to get a good exit through here. Doesn't run off the track, but they go side by side into the penultimate wide hairpin, and Kubo just sweeps around the outside of Goose there, both into the pit lane. Goose and G4. It's pretty convenient timing, otherwise risk being sideswiped in. Jaruni and Hernandi. Jaruni on very old hards now. If you look at the tyre strategy differential here, Hernandi able to go so much longer. Oh god, really, really poor pit entry from Jaruni there. Yeah, Hernandi able to go so much longer because he, of course, has already made his second stop. Big undercut through using those softs earlier on with Jaruni on the harder tyres. Anti and Vlad 01, interestingly. Anti not being lapped already, has he? That's disappointing. Yeah, 14th place for him on lap 22. Being lapped by his teammate. He needs to get, to put it nicely, the fuck out of the way, and he does. He just moves to one side and allows his teammate through. Lovely stuff. Jaruni, Hernandi, and Rito still leading the way, but Hernandi on fresher hards, so that should play into his advantage a bit before they both go in to the pit. Didn't that run nicely? Goose being, I believe, double lapped here. He's not really battling anyone. Menaker ahead. Grandy chasing down Andres. Ekolowski not in that fight. He's a lap up on them. Then Spuda chasing down Sobel. Sobel 16th, 15th and 16th. They're both going to get in the way of Vlado 1, but he very tactfully clears them. Sobel gets just bumped slightly wider by Spuda. Onto the gravel. Anti, as mentioned before, there. And then we've got Vlad, Jake and Leviosa outside the points. Eurus just inside it. Swept to one side by the lapped car of Game On Goose. He's going to take that to court afterwards. Bluebell in 9th. The other BFX running in the points. Exactly a lap down from his teammate out in the lead. G4 still running in the points for PMP. Remember, he used 2 tokens just a few races ago to no avail. I believe it was Monaco, scoring no points that race, finishing 12th. So using 2 tokens today, bringing home 4, potentially 6 points. No, that looks a bit of a tough ask. He's a good few seconds ahead as Ekolowski. Would be a good point tool for the team. They're not going to look to get many points this season. I think their peak has definitely come already, taking the first 1-2 in the history of Sunday League Virtual. But we've got Ekolowski and Kuba. I'm going to pan back to the leaders now because it looks like Rito and Hernandi have finally engaged into some combat. Rito to the pit lane, brilliant. Rito on very, very old hards. Pits onto fresh mediums. Hernandi's hards still have a few laps to go. So now it's basically a battle of the strategies. Hernandi will be having pitted for that short, soft stint, always doing a overcut by a good few laps, which means every time Hernandi comes back into the pit lane, Rito will have pulled a wonderful gap, of course, because you know, he's got some clean air now. He's still got to get back through on Jaruni, who's pretty much looking out for the count in this fight for the lead. He's a good 6.5 seconds off Hernandi, but he's still looking good for a very solid podium, as he achieved in Monaco, where he nearly won the race. That title went to Kubo, who's in 6th place at the moment, chasing down Vlad for 5th. Kubo on his pretty fresh mediums, Vlad on his pretty fresh hards. We've got a straight fight for 5th place here. Kubo to the inside, can he pull through into turn 1? Blips a little bit of turbo, and that just gets him ahead. Look at the turbo power on that VLO car. They can use so much of it. So, interestingly, if you look at the turbo usage for a stronger team versus a weaker team in terms of the turbo department, somebody like Team Velocity get a lot of turbo to spend. If you look at the depletion rate when they sink it, really, really impressive. So if we have a look here, it really goes down quite slowly. If we compare that to another team, I don't really remember who's got bad turbo. Oh my god, he slides off the track there, carried way too much speed in. That is one of the downsides of the turbo. To be totally honest, it sometimes just really doesn't work out for you. Who's got bad turbo? Really, a PMP doesn't have the best turbo. We can have a little look at Sobelli here as he comes round. G4, maybe a better example, as he finishes off lap 28. Sorry for the voice cracks, and once again not super well, but giving my best shot. Yeah, it drains quite a lot faster. Through a lot of it, he's already out of turbo by the time they reach this corner. He does keep it all intact though, coming into that exit of that chicane, so he's already gained time on Kubo by that metric. Vlad still right behind him. Ikolowski now really challenging Vlad. He has to just pull back a little bit though. All very similar strategies for 5th, 6th and 7th, giving you 10, 8 and 6 points respectively. So wonder if we can get any overtaking as they have to clear the lapped car of Levioso. Makes way. Ikolowski goes right through on the inside and boosts his way up into 6th place. Vlad is not going to let this go, looking to get his eyes on the inside line into the chicane. This can't end well. No, he gets swept off by Ikolowski. He was already headed in that direction, so in fairness, it's not overly aggressive from Ikolowski to be pushing him off there, but both crucially losing time on Kubo, who pulls about 2.5 seconds clear. Pit crew comes into the pit lane. Groots' pit crew comes out in 8th place behind G4, who's on pretty old, hard compound tyres. Vlad still looking to get past Ikolowski here, maybe taking some revenge from that chicane incident. He needs to avoid that chicanery this time around. Doesn't go to the inside this time. He's really struggling through that corner. It's terrible for those with tyre wear. You can see him defending from Levioso, actually. He just covers off the inside there. That's quite smart to not let the lapped car unlap himself, so to speak. The top 3, by the way, Rito still having only made 2 stops, out in 1st place, still on those mediums. Hernandi on fresh hearts. He's finally come into the pit lane, and as expected, Rito pulls that gap on him. Hernandi 5.8 seconds off Rito, but the pit lane is long here, big time loss as well, so you have to factor that into account. In terms of tyre life, interestingly, you can see, in fact, I didn't realise this, let's see if it's true, but I've heard a theory that the thing you see in the top right, of course, isn't the same for everyone. It's different as you go from driver to driver. So I think Hernandi is planning on taking the mediums, Rito planning on taking the hards. He comes in now. Let's see if this is true. Will he stop for the hards? No, mediums. Okay, it's complete bollocks then. Hernandi though goes through. Rito comes out of the pit lane, and he's only 2 seconds behind, which is really interesting because we've of course not got that many laps left in this race. 12 remaining for those on the lead lap. Of obviously fewer for those who are 1 or multiple laps down. But Hernandi, crucially, only a 2.5 seconds lead. So Rito potentially could take back-to-back wins in Sunday League Virtual for the first time anyone's done it since Season 1, Round 1 and 2, when Grandy dumped 5 tokens in each of those races to get back-to-back wins. Rito has dumped 2 per race, so this is a fantastic race if you're a 2-token runner, especially one in a really strong car like the BFX one is. He's closed up to Hernandi. Still, remember he only pitted a little bit ago, Hernandi similarly. So they should both be looking to run to the end of the race. It'll be a little bit of a stretch for Rito, as I think he'll need to do about 11, 12 laps on those mediums. That's pretty much very much in the upper bounds, if not outside what's expected of those tyres, but we'll have to see how he can deal with it late on in the race. Meanwhile, he's got fresher, softer tyres than Hernandi. Hernandi still out in the lead. How much longer is this going to last? The gap is just 0.3. Hernandi pulls it slightly, gets good straight line speed through there. Can Rito get a superior exit? Pretty level pegging. Hernandi able to activate the boost earlier, going into turn 1. Pulls away a little bit through that. Rito massively gets it on the exit of turn 3. Now up into 6, 7 and 8. It's pretty much nose to tail here. Coming into the chicane, Rito goes to the inside. Hernandi will fight this. Rito runs wide. Hernandi leaves him no room on the exit. Rito never looking like he was going to make that corner. So a racing incident there, slowing Rito down. it's now flipped. We've got Rito on the softer tyres, Hernandi looking to hold him up, unlike earlier in the race with Girouni looking to hold up the soft running Hernandi. Interestingly enough, you'll see a lot of the field going for softs now with very few laps remaining. Hernandi gets a bit of a bad exit through there. Rito gets through. Hernandi uses some boost to no avail. Andres is able to unlap himself as well. Rito pulls a magnificent gap clear, 8/10 from Hernandi. Girouni, I think 11, 12 seconds back, 11, yeah. Hernandi about a second off Rito. His only hope here is that Rito's mediums will simply not last the end of the race. Hernandi has the hards, which should not be underestimated in how much longer they can last. It's numerous laps that they will still be good for after you have to come into pit with the mediums. So unless Rito is planning a late stop here, he will really struggle towards the end. He's already struggling now. Hernandi's closed that second gap to just 2/10. Look to the inside on the final corner. Rito gets a good exit. Hernandi also getting a pretty even exit. Rito's slightly better and he pulls that gap back out to 4/10 now. But Hernandi massively gaining through that lap. Rito must have had something really wrong there, and his tyres are starting to go off. They're nearly at the point where they are in worse condition than Hernandi's hards, despite being newer, and that is essentially the crossover point where Hernandi's tyres will start to become much faster. But they'll both be on pretty toasted tyres towards the end. It is fortunate that they don't have any pressure from somebody running in third, with Girouni being a huge 11 seconds back, but he's on tyres that will definitely last him comfortably to the end, unlike those of the leading two. Would be good to see Hernandi close back up again, because that was very exciting to see him put some pressure on Rito in the last lap. We can't have him running away with the championship, you know, spending 2 tokens and winning races. That's ridiculous. I mean, it's ridiculous how good that car is, regardless. Bluebell in the points once again, spending no tokens. That'll be the 3rd time he's done that this season, maybe 4th. Unbelievable. But Hernandi still only a second and a half back. He's not losing that gap too much. Rito's tyres now really not in a good condition, but Hernandi's still in a worse one. The gap to Girouni pretty much as it was, to be totally honest, so not much headway made there from the driver running in third, who, as mentioned earlier, would be the, you know, if on the right strategy with not a huge gap, a good competitor to these drivers who are running very, let's say, optimistic stints for the final laps of the race. 3 laps to go here. The gap from Hernandi to Rito, a second, not being helped out by the lap cars of Vlad and Uris working together for the first time in their lives. Uris runs off there. Vlad to the outside, looks to unlap himself, squirms in from behind Hernandi. Hernandi will have to defend this. Vlad screws it up though. He's in 8th place. It's quite very solid performance from him, spending just 1 token, getting 4 points, would not be too bad at all. G4 right ahead of him in 7th. Hernandi comes into the pit lane with only 2 laps to go. Oh my lord, what is he thinking? There's 2 laps left. He's trying something radically different to Rito in the hopes that he can close up 10 seconds in 2 laps on fresh softs. This would be never seen before in the history of Sunday League Virtual. The question is, why wouldn't he do this 2 laps ago? Because the softs could do a little bit more than 2 laps here, mate. He's closed the gap by 2 seconds already. That's quite concerning. But we're on to the final lap already. He's going to need an extra 8 seconds in 1 lap. He's essentially handed the win to Rito there. Rito runs wide. Anti gives him a bit of a boost up the backside though, and Rito will carry on his merry way. Why wouldn't you pit on lap 40, mate? That's ridiculous. What is he doing? Rito runs off the track. Sorry, I'm really upset by that. Rito runs off the track there, but it won't matter. He's still got a fantastic gap. You can see Hernandi just going through the chicane in the background. Rito going through the final corner, and for the 2nd time in Sunday League Virtual history, Rito wins back-to-back races and takes the Italian Grand Prix. Hernandi, 6 seconds adrift, crosses the line for 2nd place now after coming last in his home race. Last race, he'll really take some comfort in being on the podium today. Pit crew with a fantastic podium. I believe that is his first in his Sunday League Virtual career, so congratulations to him. Girouni in 4th, not managing a podium today, quite unlucky for the FVR driver. Kubo in 5th is a very solid performance from the man racing for Team Velocity. He takes fastest lap as well. Ikolowski 6th for British Aerial Racing. Vlado 7th for Superfast Racing. G4let 4 4 points for the Argentinian. Spending 2 tokens today, he'll be very happy with that performance. Maybe a little upset not to get 7th place. Then spending no tokens in a gargantuan 40 seconds off 8th place. That's, well over a lap. Is Bluebell in 9th and Eurist in 10th. So good car performance for those drivers, carrying them to points, double points for the team in particular, without spending any tokens. Jake Brad takes the position outside of the points, Levioso close behind him, 11th and 12th for them. Vlado 2, 13th, and Sobel in 14th place. He lost 9 positions from his grid slot. Hetmanica up 5 into 15th, Anti in 16th, Andres and Spuda 17th and 18th, Game on Goose in 19th, Grandi in last place. Fantastic racing action here in Mugello, lots of spectacular overtakes, great strategy battles, and a really deserving winner when push came to shove. I really hope you enjoyed that race. We'll see you next time after the mid-season break. I know, 10 days without Sunday League Virtual, how you guys are going to even live. But it will be back eventually, and it will be back for the Turkish Grand Prix. Until then,